beautiful sketch. Paul is talking to the Greeks, and the Greeks had many idols, mainly because they didn't want to miss out on any blessings that there may have been, so they worshipped many different types of idols. Now, for us in our modern world, I think if we were to say which idols do you have and do you worship them, most people would probably say no. I have no idols and I don't worship them. The only one that I have is God. And why would most people say that they don't have an idol or that they worship them is because most people generally misunderstand what worshipping actually is and what it involves. And also because the words, and because they would say that they probably don't, they probably don't have any idols. But as shown by our sketch earlier, actually we all do have idols. And the meaning of idol is an object or image or thing that is of extreme devotion. So there are certain things in our lives that we put first. There are certain things in our lives that we devote and we prioritize above anything else. And with that being said, you should all have a bit of paper somewhere on your chair. It's like I've done a really good magic trick. Bow! It's there. Just like that, you'll find them. And also, you should, providing they haven't been all taken on this front row, you should find a pen somewhere. And if you don't have a pen or paper, look to the right of you or to the front of you, and you should find that there are plenty of spares. And if not, you can put your hand up. But what I would like you to do is we're just going to take, we're going to take a couple of minutes and really think about the thing or things, so the thing or things that you have extreme devotion to, or the thing that you prioritize the most. And what I'd like you to do is write it on a bit of paper and just keep a hold of it for now. So we're just going to spend a couple of minutes to just have a think. What is it that I prioritize? What is it that has my extreme devotion? So it could be one thing, it could be many things, but whatever it is, we just take a couple of minutes and write it down. Yes. If you like to draw it, you can draw it, yes. Absolutely. If you're wonderful at drawing, by all means, I won't. It's not good at it. So I say, do just hold on to those bits of paper because you will need them for later. And if you're still writing, then do continue to. And as I'm speaking, obviously, if more things pop to your mind, you can also write those down. So Paul mentions this unknown God. And some of you may already know him. Others of you may be coming to know him. And some of you may not yet know him. And no matter where you are, that's absolutely fine. But this God is the God. He is the God who made the world and everything in it. Since he is Lord of heaven and earth, he doesn't live in man-made temples or churches or any other building, and human hands cannot serve his needs, for he has no needs. He himself gives life and breath to everything and satisfies every need. For from one man he created all the nations throughout the whole world. He decided beforehand when they should rise and fall, and he determined their boundaries. His purpose was for the nations to seek after God and perhaps feel their way towards him and find him, though he is not far away from any one of us. For in him we live and move and exist. As some of you your own poets have said, we are his offspring. And since this is true, we shouldn't think of God as an idol designed by craftsmen from gold or silver or stone. So you see, God is in his creation. And scientists, and I will need my notes for this particular bit, scientists have actually found the DNA structure for God within us. So he is weaved into all of creation. So if we were to look at the DNA cells and the coding and how it's made up, and if we look at it in Hebrew first, which is an alphanumeric alphabet, so numbers are letters, letters are numbers. It's very Hebrewish to me. But if we get that code and put it into Hebrew, and then if we translate it into the English alphabet, we get the words. We get the letters YHWH, which is Yahweh. And so this is what unites both parts of ourselves. So God has his very names in our DNA. So if people want to know how God exists, look at your DNA. Look at it, because it's woven right into there, into our very fabric. Yahweh as well, it's Hebrew. It sounds more like a breath, so when you inhale, it's Yah, and then out, way. And so every time we breathe, we're saying the name of God. So whether you know it or not, people are always saying God's name. They're going Yahweh. And so he is in his creation. He is knitted into our very fabrics, our very being. There is also another cell as well, which I can't for life for me remember the name of it, but it basically is in the shape of the cross, and that is the one cell that basically keeps everything together. You can look it up. But it's just, his evidence is just everywhere, that he is in all of creation, and therefore so close to every single one of us, because we also have the Spirit within us as well. So this is the amazing thing. So not only is he woven into our DNA, but the very breath we breathe is his, and we have his Spirit within us. But he is not trapped in his creation. He is transcendent. So he is above everything. He is above all wonders. And because he is the creator and not the creation, that means that God is in control, whilst at the same time, he is close and personal. So he could be doing something millions of miles away, and yet he can be attending to me right here, right now. And we are told that he satisfies every need. So we're told he satisfies every need. And so are you satisfied? Are you truly satisfied? Are you looking for the next best thing? Have you got the latest phone, but then suddenly you know it's going to come out, so you're going to look forward to that, so therefore you're not fully satisfied with your next phone? Are you looking to get a bigger house? Or are you looking for more sweets? I always am. Or for the biggest bowl of ice cream you can get? I am very much looking for that. So are we ever fully satisfied? Or are you looking for the next best thing? Or are you living in the future, or are you living in the past? Because if you're one of those things, or similar, and I know that I am, then what we are doing is trying to do it all in our own strength. What we are basically doing is shoving God to the side and saying, hey, I got this. I don't need you, God, because I've got to work, and the more I work, the bigger house that I'll get, the better job that I'll get, the better car I'll get. Whatever it is, it's like, you know what, whatever it is, whatever the need is, hey, God, don't worry about it. I've got it covered, because I can do it in my own strength. And the reality is when we start to think that we don't need him, actually we need him more than we think that we do. Because without him, we don't exist. And often we're caught up in doing so many things that we're like, this will better me, this will help me. And yes, they do. But the reality is that if we get so focused in that, we forget that he is the one who helps us change. He is the one who, when we lean into him and face him, we start to change. And so unless we come to know him, for when we do, we change, we will never be fully satisfied. So when we come to God, he satisfies us. And so this is something of a personal experience that I had growing up. So there was a time when I was a bit younger where I did life without God. I was just like, hey, I don't need you, it's all good. At the time, I had a girlfriend, and I was doing everything in which the world said was good and made you feel satisfied. And having a girlfriend, everything that came with that, I wasn't satisfied. I was never fully satisfied. I was looking for something else. There was this void, there was this emptiness, there was this something that I could not fulfill. And it wasn't through a girlfriend. Drinking as well, because I was at the time where I was going out partying. Drinking just didn't touch it. It just didn't get there. It didn't help me feel fully satisfied. I never did drugs because I like my money too much. And as Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But it's only when I then turned back to God, when I focused in him, where that void was then complete. I then felt full because I was focused back to him, because we are created in him. He created me. So if he created me, there is a bit of him in me. And if I don't attend to that, that's what I'm missing. That's what I'm searching for. That satisfaction can only come through him. It doesn't come through what I do. It doesn't come through me having the best thing or the latest thing. It comes from me having a relationship with God. But for me to have this satisfaction meant putting God first. And is it easy? No, of course it's not. But is it worth it? Absolutely. Because God shouldn't be an afterthought. He should be the first thought. And it is a journey. It's not like I instantaneously went to him and then I was like, whoom, everything is fully satisfied. It took me a while to really fully understand that's what it is. That it is God who fully satisfies. And yes, I get lost in the moment. Yes, I get lost in the world. Yes, I get lost in doing many, many things. But I always come back to him and I return to him. Because if I stay away from him too long, I change. I know there's something that's not right. And so because when we know him, we become more sure within ourselves. Often we then find that we become happier. We have a more positive outlook. And also, we have a greater sense of purpose. When we look to God, when we know who God is and we have this relationship with him, we have a greater sense of purpose in life. And therefore, nothing else can truly give us this other than God. And it is also stated as a fact. It says, he satisfies every need. Not that he might or he may do. And if you do this, I'll have a think about it. It's an absolute. It just says that simply he will. That he will satisfy. He satisfies every need. And bearing in mind, this is what he regards as a need. This is not what I regard as a need. I might say, I need to have the latest Tesla. He goes, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, but I do. So we then have to check, actually, okay, yeah, this is my need, but actually, is it his need for me? And this is the hardest thing that we get, because we can read this and we can go, yeah, but Anthony, I prayed about this, and this is the need that I have. And he's like, yeah, but is it the need that he feels you should have? Because actually, is it important to him for you to have a bigger house, a better job, and so forth? So do I believe it to be true? Of course I do. And it's not just because I've experienced it, but it's because of Jesus' resurrection. Because it's said that he would raise from the grave, and sure enough, he did. We read it. He says, in 3 days, I will raise again. And that's what he did. So if he did it before, he most certainly will carry out his word again. And so God is not an afterthought. He is not the first, he's not an afterthought. He is the first thought. Because without him, nothing exists. If he removes himself from us, everything stops becoming in existence. So football may keep you healthy. It may be a wonderful pastime, but it's not going to give you an eternal life. And so with the pieces of paper that you have, that you've written on earlier, in a minute, so as the band, if you want to kind of come and make your way up, And as they start to lead us in the next worship song, if you acknowledge that the things you have written down on your bits of paper have taken center stage, have become the priority, have become the thing that you've given the most devotion to, and you want change, and you're not feeling fully satisfied, and you want to experience that, and then you want to put God at center stage, because we only know that when we put God first. And so if what you've written down, and you want to give that to God, and you say, look, I've had enough of doing this, and I want more of you. I'm sorry that I spend so much time looking at my phone. I'm sorry that becomes my extreme devotion, that I spend all my time, that I can't go looking at it without 5 minutes. Or whatever it may be for you. If you want to come and give that to God and say, actually, I'm still searching. I want to be fully satisfied. I just want to be closer to you, know more of you. As the band start to lead us in worship, I'd like you to come and bring it up and lay it on at the altar. And also as well, Caroline, Suzanne, myself and Nick as well, we'll be up here. So if you'd like prayer for it, just to help you, then you can come and see us. But as a band, if you could lead us, and as they start to lead us, as you feel called, come up and lay your bit of paper on the altar to God. Amen.